Alright, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about someone who has received... I have gotten so many requests to cover this guy. Like, going back over a year now, I have gotten so many requests to cover this guy. He's one of those up-and-coming, though, considering the things that are coming out about him now, and are kind of going viral about him now, that may be coming to an end. But he's this up-and-coming anti-woke right-wing grift-tuber named Synthetic Man. He's got 137,000 subscribers, and I've covered him before, though very much briefly. And as you can see, his content is just very lowest common denominator. I've covered a little bit of his stuff in the past, as you can see, but really not much of it, despite how many people have been requesting it. However, I didn't know this guy's deal. I did not know this guy's deal, right? When I covered him, all I knew about him was he was just some right-wing chud complaining about wokeness. I didn't know, like, what his life or his backstory or his character or anything. But recently, a YouTuber by the name of Dead Domain made a whole documentary-style breakdown video. She basically just explained the guy's entire story on YouTube and included a lot of clips of him getting really personal. Because if you're not aware, Synthetic Man is like a really, really, really addicted alcoholic. And like, when you imagine someone who's drunk, you can probably, what comes to mind is probably someone who's like kind of stumbling around, a little goofy, maybe a little less filtered than they would normally be. But this guy gets ridiculously drunk on stream and starts spilling his guts. And so there's a long catalog of videos and live stream VODs of him admitting to some pretty embarrassing things, to say the least, that I imagine the conglomeration of all these things in one big video by Dead Domain, he's not too happy about. And I'll be consolidating and repeating a few of these points myself to give you some background on the guy. So if you don't have the time to watch the Dead Domain video, which you very much should watch it, by the way, then you'll just get an idea of what I'm talking about here. So here's what I've learned about this guy. He is 30 years old, maybe 31 by now, and he lives with his mom. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, we're in a rough economy, right? Things are rough these days. People can't afford things like they used to. The economy is fucked. It has been fucked for a while. Capitalism's rough. I get it. However, he seems to blame women for every single problem, not just in his life, but in the world. That every single issue that he perceives the world to face, he blames women. In fact, he is a full-on incel. Like, when I say an incel, I mean the kind of guy who goes on rants admitting that women will not talk to him, and it's women's fault that they won't. Like, it is their fault that he can't get a girlfriend. And he's outright said this countless times. He goes on rants about how the Jews are trying to convince white women to not want to be with white guys, all the while, like this is a conspiracy he's said word for word. He believes that, like, diversity hiring and, like, what's it called when they supposedly allow minorities into college easier, affirmative action, are designed to make sure that people of color have more money, so that if a woman who, in his worldview, they only care about attractiveness and or money, he claims that the woke Jewish conspiracy is to make white men poor because they can't get into college or get jobs, all the while convincing women through the media that white men are not as attractive, so that the white race can die off. And that's like the way they're doing white genocide. He is, in fact, a full-on Nazi. He's not just like your kind of safe, mostly brand-oriented kind of grifter in the way that the Quartering is, or, you know, even Nerdrotic or you know, Geeks and Gamers. These guys are very mask-on. This guy regularly goes on rants about, like, the Jews. He JQs very publicly. Something that you might find quite surprising, and Dead Domain did a good job of emphasizing this, is that every live stream or YouTube video that this guy makes contains blatant breaking of YouTube's TOS, down to just saying that the Holocaust didn't happen. He pretty regularly just says this. He doesn't use euphemism. He doesn't really hide it or cover it up. It tends to just be when he kind of loses his filter while drunk on stream, but his fans know about this. In fact, what's really surprising is in the Dead Domain video, they read Synthetic Man's fan thread on Kiwi Farms, and I was genuinely surprised to see that even the Kiwi farmers aren't able to tell that this guy is like kind of a sad loser. But then again, it kind of makes sense. He is a mascot of sad losers. This is a guy whose life is miserable. He's a self-admitted NEET. He's just a massive loser. Girls won't talk to him. He can't get a date. He can't get a girlfriend. And he blames women for everything, and he isn't even shy about stating these things. But his videos get an immense amount of viewership, and it's not because his fans aren't aware of this. They're very aware of this. It's actually what attracts them. He's their mascot, in a way. He recently put out a video. His most recent video is called Space Marine 2 is Peak Masculinity. And I want you to watch this video, all the while knowing this dude is a literal basement dweller NEET that, like, doesn't go outside, doesn't have friends, doesn't talk to girls, and blames women for every issue in his life. He's talking about the peak masculinity of Space Marine 2 while being self-admittedly the opposite of that. What's so funny about this guy is he goes on these rants about how, like, soybeans make you feminine, and then he talks about how he regularly consumes products that have soy in them, but claims he has no choice because America has no other options. It's this really bizarre, like, yeah, like this doomer perspective that he represents of like, yeah, everything's fucked. Wokeness is destroying us and our lives and our culture and our country, and there's nothing we can really do about it but complain and be mad about it online. But also, I'm judgmental to the left of being those things, even though he is all those things that he, like, uses as an insult. It's all the most blatant projection. Nah, there are clips where the Fandom Menace folks says the same stuff as Synthetic Man, but would either quickly say that they're joking or downplay the racism or bigotry. Synthetic Man is just honest, which is one of the things that is a bit refreshing compared to them. It could be due to the fact that he's too honest for the rest of this sphere. Like, they want to appear like they're not like him because he just doesn't have the filter they have. But I will say, one of the most notable, like, groups of YouTubers to call out Synthetic Man is EFAP. Bizarrely enough, when one of these anti-woke weirdos goes so far that they're just a internet-wide laughingstock, i.e. the Quartering or Synthetic Man, one of the first groups of large platform to call them out is EFAP. Mauler, Rags, Nerdrotic, I think, is on EFAP. I might be wrong about that. I forget the lineup of people on EFAP. Sometimes JXE goes on there. I think JXE is the only person involved with EFAP that I'm friendly with, or like on friendly terms with. Mahler follows me on Twitter, but I don't think we're on friendly terms. I don't hate him or anything. I just, I hope he's not right wing, but if he isn't, it's like, dude, what is your political engagement? What are you doing?
Only true ground you will find down there will be each other.
Yeah, have faith in your brothers. Yeah.
It was actually the first real footage I've seen of this game, by the way, so I guess I'll also make my evaluation of whether or not this game looks worth playing rather than waiting for a sale based off this gameplay. He also, another fun thing, he sucks at video games. This guy is apparently, like, he wants to be a gaming YouTuber. He's admitted many times that he's always wanted to do gaming content, just gaming, and that he one time made a video where he complained about wokeness and it blew up so much that he kind of got pigeonholed into this. So he's not even happy about the type of content he has to make. But he talks about how he just wants to make gaming content, and hilariously, he sucks at video games. Like, really, really sucks at video games. Hilariously so. To the extent that he pretty much only plays video games made for children, and also had his own little, like, Elden Ring meltdown moment, where, like, he complained about the Elden Ring DLC being, like, too hard. He barely has any knowledge about video games too. Yeah, I know that in the video by Dead Domain, she showed like a list of games that he hasn't played. And it's like, if you're gonna be a gaming YouTuber, man, some of those games were big ones, you know? Rags is admitted to or still to be living with his parents, and EFAP has not only been friends with the likes of ER, who has made jokes like Synthetic Man, but has also says and does the same thing Synthetic Man before and after covering the guy. Yeah, it really does seem like they call out the kind of people that just don't have a filter, you know? Space Marines 2 is a great game. Gameplay is a 10 out of 10. My main issues are the story is a little lackluster IMO, and the servers can be a little laggy. I'm excited to see some gameplay. Is Rags an okay guy? Yeah, Rags is a chud, but I will say his OG PC Master Race videos were top tier. I love those videos. Pretty great. Pretty pog. I like those videos a lot. His PC Master Race videos were some of the best on YouTube of that genre. And so were Bullet Berries, but Bullet Berry, like, moved to another country, got addicted to, like, shrooms or something, and went crazy, apparently. I don't know what happened to him.
Everyone except him. I sense heresy from this one. He's corrupted. You can see it on his skin.
A lot of his streams, and this seems just be a compilation of his live stream from Rumble. A lot of his streams are like this. There's a clip of him that's shown in the Dead Domain video, if you haven't seen that one already, where it's just him seeing a black character in a trailer for a game, and then going on a 20-minute long yelling rant about how people don't want this, people aren't going to buy it, why do they keep doing this? Like, angry, long rant about there being a black character in a game trailer. His rant was longer, several times longer than the trailer. He doesn't know he would literally be executed by the Imperium. Yeah, he'd get turned into some kind of, like, protein gruel.
I honestly can't believe it. 3 good games came out back-to-back in the last few weeks. First Black Myth Wukong, then Astrobot, now this. Maybe the video game industry is finally starting to turn around. So I should probably just get out of the way first.
So for those that aren't familiar, by the way, these grifters do something called the sinking ship strategy. And what this basically means is they look for a popular property. Ironically enough, Warhammer is one of those properties that's kind of going through a big controversy, where its fans are mad at something or someone for something. Usually something valid, right? Like, my favorite example would be Wizards of the Coast. There's a lot of reasons, completely valid, people are mad at that company right now. And because of that, right-wing YouTubers like this guy recognize, you know, the fact that hate clicks are the most volatile fuel for growing a platform online. So they take the pre-existing hate over a valid thing, and they clickbait off of the presently relevant topic and motivate or transform people's pre-existing anger into anger against the woke. They convince these angry fans that something about, like, whatever they're angry about that's valid is connected to wokeness, right? And so the reverse of that is if they see something that doesn't seem woke, quote unquote, like it doesn't have any explicitly progressive messaging or anyone who's explicitly like a minority or progressive leaning involved with it, they will try to claim it. They did it with Helldivers. They did it with, like, the Mario movie, even after trying to cancel the Mario movie and calling it woke. Sometimes they really fuck it up. Like, they go against something that's going to be popular and then realize, oh shit, we're on the losing side of this culture battle. They did this, for example, with House of the Dragon, if you remember. House of the Dragon, in a lot of its advertising, featured a fairly increased amount of black characters, notably black Targaryens, which you better believe the totally real fans of fucking J.R.R. Martin, who are totally not racist, got super fucking pissed about. And they canceled the shit out of House of the Dragon before it came out. But then it came out and had like 20 million viewers on its premiere night. And people like The Critical Drinker, for example, literally went back and changed their video and stream titles to say positive things about the show instead of the negative things they had been saying before. Because they just want to look as though they have this, like, you know, magic ability to detect wokeness in a piece of media and then determine that it's going to be a massive flop.
That
Valyrians, not Targaryen. Yeah, Targaryens are from Valyria, and also Valyrians would be not white. It completely makes sense for Valyrians to not be white. That's why it's so fucking silly for them to freak out about that, because, like, the continent where Valyria is where all of the not white people in Game of Thrones are from. So it's like, no, that makes sense to me. But yeah, no, I would think old Valyria would have black people. That completely lines up with the state of geography of the world. It's just racism. It's just racism.
I'm not the biggest.
Ironically, these like gatekeeping fake fans are themselves like not even fans of the media that they complain about half the time. Like they would fail a trivia test before any of these like supposed woke posers that they complain about.
Fan of Warhammer 40k. I like the aesthetics. I like the themes. You guys already know I like any edgy, dark stuff.
No, you don't like the themes of 40k. This is another really great example of the inability for conservative grifters like this dude to understand art. They think themes are like the vibes that a piece of media gives off. Like, I like the themes of darkness and grittiness. That's what he means when he says themes. Themes mean a message or like a general repeating tendency or idea that guides the story. In the case of Warhammer, if we're talking about the Imperium of Man, this is a pretty woke company, to be fair. Like, they're a progressive company, and even from the beginning, the creator of the Imperium of Man has said that they were always meant to be a piss take of the hyper machismo, like military-oriented fascism. That's always been the idea of it. But if it was instead of being centered around othering people of different like races in humanity, if humanity itself just othered all other life forms and was just humans supremacist, right? There's a bunch of other factors too. The religious fanaticism, which is itself in universe wrong. They've made a messiah out of a dude who is just really cool and powerful and dope. They've made him into like a religious figure against his own will. But you know, the you have to worship him. You must worship the emperor, something that the emperor wouldn't have wanted. The actual themes of Warhammer are nothing this guy actually agrees with. When this guy says themes, he means like how the dudes are big and strong and they fight aliens. I like those themes. He means vibes.
All of the gore and senseless violence definitely
go.
appeals to my inner 12-year-old. That said, I am nowhere near an expert on the lore. Not that it really matters for this game, because it's really...
This is no surprise, by the way. He is not... He is a If anybody is, like, posing as a real gamer, it's this dude. This guy seems to just play, like, the same games from his childhood that he's, like, stuck in nostalgia for because his life is so miserable. He can't, like, experience happiness without trying to recreate his childhood.
Really not that much story, but I just thought you should know that going in. I'm mostly just going to analyze this as a video game first and foremost, and I think this game does a pretty good job at achieving the niche it's trying to fill. Mainly as a sequel to the first game, which was a cult classic from the PS3 360 era, and also just in general as a horde shooter hack and slash hybrid game. I think it nails both of those aspects fairly well. Certainly not a flawless game. It definitely has a lot of the same flaws that other games.
I hope there's progression. I hope there's like character progression where you're like upgrading your armor, cosmetics, physical upgrades for like new gear and stuff. I really do like how Helldivers 2 does it, but I feel like more variety in the armor would be cool, because like my favorite armor set was in the original like base release. It had like a very Warhammer vibe to it, because I like the Warhammer like armor vibe, but they've not really released much like that since. And that makes me sad. I like Warhammer's look of armor. I wanted more stuff like that in Helldivers 2.
In this genre do, but I think if you can manage to convince two of your buddies to play this with you, you can have a damn good time. Now, another thing.
What's so sad about this guy, now that I've like gotten the lore dump on him and his past, is that now that I know his real like dream is to be like a gaming retrospective review YouTuber, but he can only get viewership or build an audience off of right-wing chud grift, the fact that he wants to make a review of this. Like, he wants to make a review of this game and just talk about the game. And you know that he has to include the, like, racism and stuff. And I'm sure he is racist. He is a loser incel, don't get me wrong. But he has to include this stuff and focus on it, the political side of things, to keep the audience, to get people to watch. Because they don't care about him reviewing this game. They care about him complaining about wokeness or praising the downfall of wokeness in this case. Everything about this guy is so funny when you keep in mind he wants to be dicked down by a 7-foot-tall Fuda anime girl. Oh, I forgot! Yes, he is also a chaser. He is into Fuda and has talked in depth about how, like, there's some, like, because he's into eugenics, so this was his explanation. He said he's a eugenicist, right? Because he's into eugenics. He's a Nazi, right? And that, the eugenics aspect of his beliefs have driven him to what he claims is the natural conclusion that Fuda porn is the most attractive to straight men. He clarifies, though, only if done in the anime style, not in real life, though. He clarifies he's not really gay. It's only when it's anime. And he says that, like, the idea of it is eugenics because it's like the perfect life form, because it's got the body of a woman and the penis of a man, and of course men are supposed to be, you know, they're you know, superior to him, and so it's the idea that, like, it's just I'm trying to put it into his words to explain it, but it doesn't make any sense. It's basically him posting about how somehow it's based in red pill to love Fuda porn because you actually see it as eugenics and fapping to the superior life form. But not if it's a real trans person, I guess, though. Dude, it's just, this dude is a whole can of worms. I had no idea how fucking silly this dude was. Oh my gosh. This video is really uninteresting. I might as well show you, like, a funny clip from the Dead Domain video of this guy. Because I really do want to shout out this video. That's really been what a big part of this is about. I would react to it on stream, but I've already seen it, and it's very long. So instead, I just want to shout out. By citing the term "learn," I just want to shout out this this video because it's so good. It's so fucking good. Here's, like, the most watched moment from it. Okay, if you guys want an idea of the kind of stuff that gets talked about here, I can imagine that we might see this guy no longer upload for a little while after this video. It wouldn't surprise me.
Any dissenting opinion based on politics. For him, it's practically reflexive, like flinching. Most of the time, he has to make up political alignments and conspiracies to inject into his rants. Like, there can be no political statements made whatsoever. Just a woman or person of color, and this will be how he reacts.
Dude, how do these keep getting made? BlackRock. This is
what I was talking
This is
about
how
earlier,
never mind. I'm not gonna Fed post. But if you just look at history, I'll put it this way: if you look at human history, when one man decides enough is enough and does something, okay, it would have happened by now. We are all domesticated soy boys in comparison to the Giga Chad of the past. Uncle Ted was right.
Uncle Ted is Ted Kaczynski, by the way. If you're not familiar with, like, alt-right memes, that's when they say that, they mean Ted Kaczynski. Yeah.
Goddamn, we need the new Uncle Ted.
Oh, there
Come
we go,
on
screen.
There's got to be.
Yeah, he's calling for
BlackRock needs to go down. Like, no one's buying this. There's only so many times they can get woke and go broke before people realize, this money's coming from somewhere. And
so when he says, so this is, I guess, the like the mask off version of the, like, go woke, go broke conspiracy. Okay, so if it's not for money, then the money must be coming from somewhere to fund these things. And so there you go. He's like wink wink nudge nudging at where he thinks the money to fund these, like, broke woke games comes from. It's all part of the agenda, the message.
They seem to have unlimited money. It's almost like voting with your wallet isn't enough, okay?
He just sees a woman or a person of color in his chat, brings up a political point, and he goes off with very little self-restraint. He cannot help himself but to bring up politics constantly, and for a portion of his fan base,
Synth is actually consistent with his takes and doesn't shy away from calling out political nonsense for what it is instead of just nebulously throwing around the word woke. Yeah, this is a Kiwi Farms poster. Like, the really far right people online love Synthetic Man because he has no filter like, you know, Nerdrotic and The Quartering. He goes on rants about how this is the Jews ruining gaming. And so, like, the real far right folks love him. He is, like, their guy. And he's also, like, self-admittedly a neat and a loser, like, genuinely rivaling Asmongold in some ways. And so he's really just kind of a mascot for those types of people online, like the really far gone far right folks in the gaming sphere. So I thought this would be a good thing to talk about, primarily so I could send some of you guys to check out that Dead Domain video because it is so fucking good. And on top of that, as sort of a bookender on Synthetic Man, considering, I mean, I might cover him in the future, but dude, he's getting to be a laughing stock even within the anti-woke content creation sphere. So his future does not look bright. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, if you enjoyed this segment, please consider leaving a like. No matter when, where, or what you're watching from me, even if you're watching live right now from my site, dropping a thumbs up helps a ton and forces YouTube to push my content in the algorithm out to more people. So I really do appreciate it when you guys do that. It means a lot. And of course, consider supporting me by commenting down below and subscribing and ringing the bell icon so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video, because they won't do that if you don't do those things. And even then, they might not do it, to be clear, but they definitely won't if you don't ring the bell icon. And of course, consider following my social medias linked down below in the description if you want to see more from me on other platforms, including joining my fan Discord. It's totally free. It's the main hub of my community, and I really do appreciate it a lot if you if you join the Discord. It's fun as hell. I host game events, call-in streams, watch parties, and announce all my new uploads and streams there so you won't miss anything. And if you have the money for it and don't need it for anything else, consider helping me keep the lights on and donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub directly to me on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch to the Streamlabs link down below. But regardless of how you support the stream, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.